just to know you, just to live inside your grace, just to feel you in my heart at this time, in this place. There is peace in every breath as my mind dwells on your name, finding peace, peace within, treasure of bliss, never ends. Salsa, salsa, mananama, mananama, samahare, evo bisara, neither by evo bisara, neither by just to know you.
Shanti, Sister Jayanti, and welcome. And welcome to everyone again. And when thinking of love this week in the Murli, we can't help but think of all those special memories we had with the dadis in Madhuban, how they used to be sitting in the courtyard. Do you remember when we used to come down from Om Shanti Bhavan? We'd just have our Murli and they would all be sitting in a circle, taking in the sun, and they'd be so happy to see us. And also I want to say that many times when we went to see Dadi Janki, and she would always say, have you been to see Dadi Gulzar? Have you been to see Dadi Prakashmani? She just wanted us to take benefit from everyone. Even when we took Toli, she would say, have you given any to Dadi Gulzar, Dadi Prakashmani? So we can see their love for us. And anyway, I have some questions afterwards, but I'll let you start now. Thank you so much for being with us.
Om Shanti Arunaben, and Om Shanti to all my sisters and a few of my brothers. I see a few of my brothers around. So lovely to connect with you all. I love these Murlis when Shiv Baba, the father, has a spiritual exchange with Brahma Baba, the mother. These Murlis are always the sweetest of all. But of course, Bab Dada began by reminding us that we are the children, all the children are the ones who are the hopes, the flame of Baba's hopes. And this image is used a lot in India to describe, if you think about hope, hope is light. And so you can see why it's in that context that this Deepak, this earthenware lamp with a flame that's burning, and Baba saying that you fulfill my hopes and I fulfill yours. But what are the hopes that God has in all of us? And sometimes Baba sees that those hopes that Baba has for us and in us, it's shining brightly and it's moving forward upwards very strongly. And at times it's flickering. And so one can feel within the self how at times, yes, there's a thought that Baba has said something and I'm going to do it. And of course, at other times, it's, well, maybe I can, maybe I can't. And so the flame keeps flickering. And of course, if the flame is flickering, it's not so beautiful. But also there's a little bit of a question mark. Will there be a gust of wind that's going to blow it out? Whereas if the flame is steady and moving upwards, absolutely stable, shining, then you don't have a question about it. You know that it's strong and it's powerful. And then Baba said that, yes, sometimes Baba sees that the zeal and enthusiasm of the children is such that the children definitely, the thought that they have and the actions that they perform become equal. And they're fulfilling Bab Dada's hopes. But yet at other times, the thought is there. And the thought is there because when you think about the attainments you've had from Baba, how much Baba has given you all the time up until today and will continue to give you. And also how Baba has transformed you, what you were and what you are today. How did all that happen? It must have been Baba. And so when we emerge those things in our minds and our hearts, then again, the zeal and enthusiasm is very bright. The hopes are very high that yes, we can do this. And then what happens? We get onto the field of action, and then the thoughts were powerful and elevated, but the actions don't quite match up. And Baba mentioned 3 qualities that we have to think about. 1, the power. 2, the love. And 3, the attention. And if these 3 qualities are there, then our zeal and enthusiasm and the flame of hope is going to be so bright and powerful that yes, our pure thoughts are going to become equal to our actions. There's not going to be a dichotomy between these 2. Not that there's very pure, beautiful thoughts and then they evaporate, they disappear, they go away somewhere. And then we say, oh, but this is the real world. This is the world of challenges, of circumstances, and all these things come to us. But those 3 things, let me take power from God. Let me experience love from God and love in my heart for God. And then thirdly, attention. You know, when you're trying to keep a flame burning brightly, 2 things. A, you have to make sure that it stays out of the wind and the drafts. And secondly, you have to keep topping up the oil. If you don't keep topping up the oil, the flame is going to flicker out. And so I need to give that attention. yes, I have love for Baba. I'm taking power from Baba. I'm making sure there's no leakages. But if I'm not giving it attention, then at some point that flame will fizzle out and my zeal and enthusiasm and my hopes all fade away. They all just dissolve. You know how when it's those real lamps in which you've got the cotton wick and the oil there, it slowly, slowly, gradually, if you don't top it up, it just melts and melts and there's just a little pool left. There's nothing else that remains. So that's what happens to us sometimes. So Baba saying, no, have that attention. And then, yes, you'll be able to manage to keep that flame shining. And your thoughts and your actions will then become equal. And the conversation between the mother and the father. And Baba was emphasizing that, yes, I am mother and father too. But today it's Brahma Baba who's especially in the role of mother and is concerned about all of you children. Why? Because in terms of the physical dimension, the physical sustenance, it's Brahma Baba who's been your mother and has given you that. You are her creation. It's the mother's love that's able to nurture and support and sustain and make the child like the father. And so Brahma Baba, the mother, and Baba's hopes for us that each child will actually be equal to the father, become like the father. And so it's the mother's deep desire. The father, of course, also wants it to happen, but it's the mother's deep, pure love and pride in the children. Baba uses the word mamta, and normally you would talk about love, sneh, pyar, but in this case, the mamta is, you know, the child has been born from the mother's womb. She's nurtured the child for all those months. And so the child is part of her in a sense. And so that thread, that connection is a very, very powerful one. But of course, in the Lokik sense, where we use this word mamta, there's a lot of possessiveness there and deep, deep bond of attachment. And of course, that's going to cause upheaval and distress, parishan. And the opposite of that, shan, the honor, the pride. And so the pride of the mother is that the child should be able to reveal the father by becoming equal to the father. And both mother and father agreed that the children have absolutely total love. They have claimed this certificate. Each Brahmin child is like a pearl threaded together in that rosary of love. And so no child can live without Baba and the thread of love. And so the first step, the hopes for Baba, that every child should become like the father, but in one particular way Baba mentioned today, and that was to be the detached observer and also the companion. And very often I have this question, which comes first? Is it the observer or is it the companion? And in terms of my relationship with God, definitely it's that it's the experience of God's love as my companion, and the power of that makes me a detached observer. And I think today Baba was emphasizing firstly Sakshi, the detached observer, and then Sati, because later Baba's playing with this idea that sometimes where you need to be the observer, you become the companion. And where you need to be the companion, you become the observer. So I think it's not just in the context of the relationship with God, but also our relationship with each other, because the Murli was very much explaining that aspect. And so in that sense too, especially when I think about where we mix up this stage and instead of one, the other, and it gets a bit jumbled. It applies more in terms of the family. So say, for example, you're going through a difficult patch. Can I be your spiritual companion and support you through that in whatever way I can, and help you come closer to Baba through that period of darkness or challenge or whatever it was? And so at that moment where compassion is needed, then I need to play that role of being a companion, empathy, togetherness. And then, yes, it'll be fine to come out of it. But sometimes we see somebody going through a challenge and we'll say, I have to be detached. That's not the time to be detached. And then sometimes when I do need to be detached, when it's company and I'm not quite clear about how things are going or what the purpose of this particular gathering is, let me stay detached and observe what's going on, and then decide whether I want to be part of that company and be a companion with the others in that, or I'd rather just stay out of it and be very detached. So there's a time to be detached and an observer, and there's a time to be a companion. And so I need to be very clear about what's going on. Then I can decide what it is I need to do. So Baba reminding us that, again, Brahma Baba is so concerned about us because he's the one who's going to be your companion through the whole cycle. And Shiv Baba, for a large part of the cycle, he's going to be the detached observer, watching and in bhakti, pressing the buttons to make whatever needs to happen will happen in terms of the reward of my good karma, in terms of visions that are granted, but more or less detached. And now in Sangam Yug, our beloved companion with us all the time and giving us the power to be the detached observers. And then Baba was concerned about how there are two sides. There's an aspect of balance. And the one side is love for God, and the other side is love for the family. And remembrance and service actually are different names for both of these things. And so love for God, remembrance, love for service, it means love for the family, because I'm absolutely, totally involved with the family in terms of service. Yes, the thread of love is there, and that's a big, 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 big thread. And the thread of victory, well, much smaller than the thread of love. The rosary of victory is not huge. But Baba said, don't even think about it and say, well, there's only 108 and the 108 must be ready already. No, you make your efforts, and if needed, Baba will extend the numbers. Anyway, 108 is a configuration that's remembered in Bhakti, but it could be 110 if we decide that we want to have victory and we are part of that rosary. Baba will say, yes, of course, come in. Baba will adjust the rosary in whatever way is needed. So Baba's playing with us and reminding us that just make sure that although there's love, but there also has to be victory in all the little things that you're facing on a day-to-day basis. And of course, it is this challenge of constantly keeping good wishes, pure feelings, and nothing but that Shubh Bhavna and Shubh Chintak, where I have nothing but good wishes for absolutely each one within the Brahmin family. Possible? Baba saying it is. And we also saw the dadis. But we can also experiment with it ourselves. And if I decide that I'm going to keep my heart very clean, very pure, nothing but good wishes in my heart, whether it's their sanskars or Baba used the word Maya, illusion, my sanskars, or whether it's circumstances, whatever it is that is coming, let me be able to keep nothing but good wishes in my heart for each and every member of the Brahmin family. Baba was weighing up both. And when Baba's saying keep a proper balance, it means both of the pans have to be equally balanced. And so love for God, yes, that's powerful and strong. But love for the family, that's fluctuating. Sometimes heavy, sometimes light, sometimes there, sometimes not there. And so I need to sort that out and clean out my own heart so that truly I'm able to see the family as my family. Not just, Baba said that on the basis of family, you will say, yes, we're family, but it's not something that you truly feel from your heart. Well, can I start cleaning out whatever other feelings there are so that genuinely I'm able to let go of the past and forgive for my sake, not for the sake of the other, and say, yes, now it's time to move forward and I have nothing but good wishes for them. It might apply to one, it might apply to a few, it might apply to many. Whatever it is, let me try that out. And then Baba giving this very, very lovely example of how where there is pure love, spiritual love, altruistic love, there's no division. Then there's no thought that, well, I should have done this. This was my duty. This was my speciality, or this was my role. No, if somebody else does it, great. I'm happy that it was done. And imagine Baba, the instrument. And then Baba sitting on top of a mountain and only a handful of people being able to get there. And the children going around, children doing service, children meeting so many people, children having fantastic plans. The children are doing everything. And Baba's saying, go ahead, go ahead. No thought that, well, how come I'm not being acknowledged? I'm not being recognized? No, pure love. Let the children keep doing everything. And where somebody is saying, it's my right to do this. It's my plan. And Baba's saying, but what about God's rights? Not your right, not her right or his right, but what are God's rights in all this? What would Baba say? How would Baba do it? And so bring in Baba so that whatever other feelings there may be from the past or from the present, you're able to dissolve them so that that pure love continually stays, so that the thread is never ever broken. And so very, very strong, powerful message from Baba about this yesterday in this particular Murli. And then Baba went into a lot of detail about these things because these are the things if and but it could have been like this. Why wasn't it like this? Maybe it should be like this. And maybe this is how it has to be. I was saying that when you have all of those thoughts, then there isn't that faith in the family. And just like on the one side, Baba had that faith in you and said, go ahead, children, do as much as you want. And Baba stayed in the background, very content. But what about you, children? Can you do the same for others? And then the other aspect, the child also, whatever Baba said, the child would say, it was for my benefit. Baba said it lightly, Baba said it casually, Baba didn't say it officially. Whatever it is, there was no margin for misunderstanding because the feeling, the bhavna of love and faith for Baba was there. So one could accept it and say, Baba meant it for my benefit. So no margin for misunderstanding. And yet today, because there's lack of faith, then so many misunderstandings creep in on both sides, not just one side. But I say, but you said this, and you say, but I didn't mean it like this. And so we get into such a knot, such a tangle. But to be able to have that faith that yes, it's love, and it was done with good intention. And however the tone was or whatever else it was, there was nothing to it. And so love means faith. Love means no misunderstandings. And love also means the spirit of renunciation. It's okay if you're moving forward. Whether I move forward or you move forward, I'm really genuinely happy. And then another big section that Baba took up. And very, very interesting. What is true service? What is real service? Baba's not interested in numbers. Baba's not interested in external show. Baba's interested to see whether it's something that's done with love from the heart. And if the service has been done with love from the heart, then there's going to be a situation in which there's no conflict, no obstacles, no Maya interfering. So if there's big expansion, 50 centers, but maybe there's multiple forms of Maya there also, conflicts going on, you and I and me and this and that, or even there's going to be the situation where my own sanskars are manifesting, the sanskars of others are coming in, and everything becomes a jumble. Baba's not counting that as service. It doesn't come into Baba's list of service. But where there is even 1 or 2 centers, but there's an atmosphere of love and harmony, free from conflict, free from Maya, free from obstacles, Baba will smile and say, yes, that is very, very real service, genuine service. And of course, the fruit of real service of love, it's going to be that there's that experience of love, but also there's going to be contentment. Baba is pleased with me, but also my companions are giving me blessings from their heart. And so have I been able to make my companions content? And so a very clear mirror of what is real service, what is true service. Avyakt Baba takes up very practical details in a very clear way. You're not left in any doubt about what Baba means. And yes, we love the Avyakt Murlis. Of course we do, because they touch our heart. But also, Baba's Avyakt Murlis are a very, very clear mirror to see what's going on and what cleaning I have to do to be able to actually experience what Baba's talking about. Daddy Jayanti always used to say that the Avyakt Murli is a mirror. Look at yourself in the terms that Baba's speaking and see where you fit in within all of that. And so this Murli was a real, real mirror. How do I fit in within God's big plan? Am I in the rosary of victory? Am I in the list of Baba and the one who's able to do real service, true service? So Baba's watching, I'm watching, and when I watch carefully, then the check and change. Baba again reminding us that why Baba's reminding us of all of this is so that I can see, and then I can check, and then I can change myself also. So every Murli feels as if I just do this Murli, I'll become karmatik, right? So this Murli also, that's all I have to do. Keep this balance of love for Baba, love for the family, and that'll be the second hope of Baba, fulfilling this hope that I should have nothing but pure good wishes for each and every member of the family and for the world. Okay, let me stop here and see where you would like to go with your questions.
Thank you, Jayanti. But I think the problem is once we say we did finish one Murli, there'd be another and another. So the work is never finished, I think. So actually, let's take off on this last point, because this is somebody's question in the chat that where you said, Baba said, check and change. If you're not receiving good wishes, pure feelings, the fruit of cooperation, contentment in a visible way, then, why not? So they're asking, how can we check? How can we check on that and change?
Well, the checking is that I'm seeing that it's not happening. And so it's giving me a powerful signal. If I'm not receiving good wishes from the family, I'll use the word du'ain, the blessings of the family, and if I'm not experiencing that contentment from them or within myself even, or even the feeling that maybe Baba is content, maybe Baba's not content, I'm not quite sure. So all of this is indicating that probably I don't have that pure, clean love within my own heart. And so cleaning my heart means checking for ego, checking for attachments, checking for desires. And if I look at these three things, it's going to be quite a while. And I take Baba's love and power to be able to clear out whatever limited desires I have, making sure that really I'm finding that fulfillment and contentment and attainment from Baba, so that there is nothing out there that pulls me anymore. And then the ego. Body consciousness has been with us for a few thousand years, and it still lurks there within the shadows of the mind, of the soul. And so in what way am I proud of my gyan? Am I proud of my yoga? Am I proud of my simplicity? Am I proud of this, and whatever? The external types of ego in which I wanted a position, a label, or I wanted the physical possessions, I wanted a car, a house, this, that, and the other. Well, I think most Brahmins deal with that pretty quickly because they've already been through that experience in Kali Yuga, where they know that, yes, they got a house, they got a car, but there was still something missing inside. So I don't think that ego comes in, but the I, my plan. I think this is what is right. So many different aspects of ego that I have to check where I and my are still coming in, and being able to deal with them through soul consciousness and my surrender to Baba. Not my plan. It wasn't my gyan. I didn't have that awareness, that understanding. So where did this gyan come from? Where did this plan come from? Must be from Baba. And so to work, do the inner work. Brahmins are very good at going to Murli, Amrit Vela, and that traffic control, evening meditation, but taking the time to explore what's going on inside. And on that inner level, identifying what I need to throw out, how I can take help from Baba to throw it out. That's not 5 minutes job, because the sanskars are deep, especially ego. Can I pick up and see where are the traces of ego that is still lurking? And then that change, and I'll feel I'm receiving God's love. I'll feel that what I'm now doing in terms of whatever service I'm engaged in, I'm doing it with that pure love of service for Baba, for the family. And again, the results aren't instantaneous because people are still holding the old image of me. I have to work and show the practical proof of my transformation. And then they'll see, yes, truly, there is this change. You know, at one point, Baba said, if someone gets angry, people don't forget that. They remember it for at least 6 months. And it's true, there'll be caution in coming close to that individual or working with that individual. You know, there'll be the sort of word going around, be careful, they're not in a good mood today. And if you trigger something, again, it's going to be an explosion. People don't forget for 6 months. And so today I'm saying, well, I've changed, but nobody's noticing it. No, that's my ego that's saying, look at me, I'm demanding. Can't you see I've changed? But I haven't, because that's my demand, that's my ego. And I don't realize that what I'm asking for is exactly what Baba's telling me to remove. And so not to demand that I see results, not to demand that I see it in others, but I know where I need to change. I'm aware of it and I let go of it, taking Baba's love, Baba's help. And people suddenly say, you know, she's changed. She wasn't like this 6 months ago. She's changed for the better. But they're not going to do it overnight. They need to see consistent change.
But gentlemen, is it always our fault? Like maybe the other person is moody, they don't feel like giving good wishes. We seem to be doing everything right. Is it always us that has to change?
Who wants to become perfect? They do or they don't, that's their business. Baba is offering me the chance to become perfect, to be Bap Saman, like the Father, the bestower, the donor, the giver. And where I'm demanding their change, that's the business. That's not the devta, the giver, the donor. That's the corporate business conditions. I will if you do this and that. It's give and take. That's not what Baba's teaching us.
No, I meant like if you're unable to attain everyone's good wishes, like maybe the other one isn't feeling like giving it.
Baba said 5% okay. If 95% are giving you their good wishes, then Baba will accept that 5%, and that's their responsibility, that's their fault. But 95% is the target, that I should be able to have good wishes from 95%.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. So, gentlemen, regarding this point about the 50 centers versus the 2 centers. So again, what is happening there? For example, there are 50 centers. So obviously there's so much good karma created that one has the blessings of having so many centers. So are we saying that the loss is always greater than the profit of 2 centers?
Maybe when I started to work as Baba's instrument and the expansion was happening, it was really with that very pure motive of just serving souls and bringing them closer to Baba. So all that good karma has accumulated. But if today now I say, well, there's 50 centers and now I can sit back and now let them carry on. I don't need to make so much effort. And I've done enough for Baba, and now let me have a comfortable life. It's, you know, a comfort zone that I've got into. I sit back and I'm not making that same quality of effort anymore. And so that's the state that Baba's talking about, where then it's my zone, my centers, my whatever, and my authority, and I expect other people to obey my orders. That's the sort of mentality that it's possible to get into. And so Baba's saying, that's not real service. Now that you have 50 centers, remember, it's God's work. God created those instruments that are running the 50 centers. You didn't, it's God's work, and God touched them to make all of that happen. So come back to that awareness of being an instrument. Otherwise, this is my kingdom, you mustn't enter, you mustn't do this, you mustn't do that, or why are you going there, you should be here. And I was saying there'll always then be differences and clashes and sanskars coming up, but Baba wants there to be the demonstration of Satyug. If I can't demonstrate the qualities that I need to have for Satyug now, when am I going to imbibe them? And so is there that humility? Is there that stage of being an instrument and seeing each one of the others as instruments also? And in that way, then, we work together. We continue to multiply service, and Baba's message is able to reach further and further. But if I get stuck in the I that I have done all of this, that's when trouble starts. Old sanskars begin to emerge.
Yes, lovely, gentlemen. And gentlemen, I wanted to say regarding this competition thing, where Baba's saying, no, he always allowed others. I mean, I've seen you, I think, for over 40 years. And there's always been somebody, I think, in competition with you. And it truly is your humility. I've really loved observing how you have handled putting other people forward. And I think today, really, we have to give you credit for that. And that really is your humility. Actually, sometimes some people say that it's perhaps because you had Dadi by your side, but I don't think so. I think it's also your own dharna. Do you want to say anything about how you handle situations like that? What are you thinking inside?
It was really Dadi's sustenance that carried me through the most challenging periods, but it was also my own feeling that if I have Dadi's company, then I have to do what Dadi expects of me. So that was a very, very strong feeling. Until today, I would say that I've had so much sustenance. And so the pure thought in my heart is, I need to give Baba and the Dadis the return of that. And so I think it's always been this awareness, like Baba said in the Murli, when you remember the attainments, then that flame of hope, of wanting to fulfill Baba's hopes, Dadi's hopes, that flame stays alive, shining bright.
Yeah, and that becomes the impetus to make effort, doesn't it, gentlemen?
Yeah. And also, I've always been aware that I tried doing service in London on my own, in the sense that, yes, I came back from India in 1969, 6 months after Baba became Avyakt, and I thought, yes, I can give lectures, yes, I can create students. And I got a very rude awakening. Nothing was working out, nothing. And so I knew that I couldn't. And then after quite a bit of tapasya, in which I wasn't thinking about service at all, I really was just taking advantage of that time when I could do tapasya. Then after that period of tapasya, I hadn't given up on service. You know, Baba mentioned that today, where sometimes you say that, well, it's getting into service and these connections with others and the field of action, I can't really manage, so let me just sit and do yoga. But no, I need to be able to share what Baba has given me. And that's where Baba said that in that field of action, you learn to be the conqueror of Maya. And so for me, that whole episode where there was no service and chance for tapasya, then service began in a very natural way. I knew that it was Baba. And then when Dadi came, of course, I knew that Dadi, as God's instrument, was the powerful one who was making things happen. So yeah, Dadi's had a lot to do with my upbringing.
Yes. And gentlemen, the other thing I was thinking is Dadis had the strategy in place before they got into conflict. And it seems like we get into conflict now, and then we try to apply the strategy or the formula. And that, because there is consistent conflicts despite what Baba is saying. I mean, I'm sure there was in the beginning, but very little. So what was the overriding force then that we don't have now? Or what should we be doing now that they did then?
In the beginning, when they all surrendered, there was just that intoxication of God's love and also Shrimat. You say one thing, I say another, and we both pause and ask, what does Shrimat say? And when you're aware of Shrimat, then it's easy to go beyond conflict. So I don't think that they actually had clashes as such. They would go to Mama if there was something niggly, and Mama would help them deal with it. Or if there was a situation in which two different opinions may be working in the kitchen, and Mama would call both of them and talk to both of them individually and sort it out. And so there was not just little conflict, but it was very, very subtle. It wasn't even gross in terms of words. It was just a subtle feeling. So I think that these two things, love for Baba and why am I here, at that time was a very physical thing. They physically had left behind everything to surrender and be with God. And so even if I'm living at home with my family, I've changed so many things in my life to be able to belong to God. Now I belong to God. Now, why should I get into any other conflict with anyone else? Because I've found what I was looking for. I found Baba. Baba has found me. And so it doesn't make sense to get into any sort of division and conflict at all. And the second, what does Baba want? What does Baba say? You know, Baba said, my right, your right. What is Baba's right? Surely everything that is in a center and whatever is happening is Baba's. And so I think I'm trying to protect the center, but it's Baba's center. So let me just simply follow Baba's directions and the center will be protected. The best will happen for everybody in the center. And so where I say my Baba, that's fine. Where I say my center or my idea or my service project, it's dangerous. My department, dangerous.
My plate, my spoon, it doesn't stop.
Lots and lots of different things can come in.
I noticed, gentlemen, every time I heard Dadi's classes, any Dadi, they always spoke of another Dadi with so much respect. It was very nice. Okay, we'll take questions from chat, gentlemen. Some are quite general knowledge. So one person is saying that he or she tried to practice observer for 3 days. It only lasted for 3 days. How can they make it a habit? And how long will it take to become soul conscious?
How long does it take to create a sanskar? Or okay, let's go to something easier. How long does it take to create a habit? It doesn't take that long. Habits form very fast. You know, you get into the habit of having plant-based food rather than plant-based drink, rather than any other type of drink. For a few days, it takes a little bit of attention, but once you've started doing it, you never want to go back to anything else because you just see the benefit. You see the benefit for yourself, you see the benefit for the planet, you see benefit all around. And so same thing. There's an old habit that's not so beneficial, and I want to change it to a new habit. Instead of looking at somebody here, look at somebody here. Develop that practice of seeing that star shining in the center of the forehead. And that practice is going to help me in my soul consciousness. And if I keep reminding myself of this, you know, why does Baba say keep a chart? There's a reason. And so when I'm checking myself for maybe a month, it'll become a habit. But it's a habit of body consciousness thousands of years. So even a month isn't enough. So I think, oh, yes, I'm fine now. But after a few days, I'll notice that this habit is slipping a bit. Let me go back to keeping a chart and again, underline it. So when Baba said today, attention, the power, I'm getting power from Baba, but I have to develop that power and not allow any leakage. And secondly, love. Yes, there's love, but I have to make sure that it stays absolutely stable and unshakable without any wavering. And the third, the attention. Every Murli Baba gives us little yuktis. So to remember 3 words is easy. To remember many words is difficult. And so if I keep reminding myself of, am I taking power from Baba? Am I experiencing unshakable love? And thirdly, am I giving this attention?
Right, thank you. Gentlemen, there's quite a few, so maybe if you answer them briefly. So for example, this one, is Shiv Baba the observer the full cycle? How can he be observer without Brahma Baba?
I think I'm limiting Baba, Shiv Baba, to a corporeal human. God up above surely is aware of everything. And so Baba said, through the cycle, I am the detached observer. God observing, but detached. And so no imprint, no feeling. And so God just watching. And then at the right moment, intervention. Sangam Yoga, God is not just the detached observer. God is the merciful father and companion. And so God goes out of his way. Just think about how even when Dadi Gulzar wasn't so well, Baba would still use her chariot, and she had that inspiration. Baba's given me this role. There's 20,000 people waiting. She would get ready and come. And Baba would say, today, Baba's only going to spend a short time because the chariot isn't well. And so Baba's not being the detached observer during Sangam Yuga at all. Baba's definitely being the loving companion, the compassionate companion, supporting us and helping us. The rest of the cycle, yes, the detached observer.
Okay, thank you. Does Baba just refer to the BKs as the family which does not include others? The question is, when he refers to the BKs, I guess it means just us. And I think the question is, more subtle than that. Does Baba not include others?
God's love is immense, but number-wise, we want to take God's love. Number-wise, we want to give God the return of the love he's giving us. And so when you think about the population of the world, the billions that are around, how many are just so engrossed in all the things of Kali Yuga, they're not interested in God at all. You must have been aware of that. And yet God's mercy is such that God sees that, okay, there's a little bit of comfort they have, but on the other side, there's a huge amount of pain and suffering that's going on in the world. And 80%, maybe it's now gone up to 90% because the difference between haves and have-nots has increased. The inequality ratio is more and more all the time. And so Baba's looking at all these suffering souls and saying to the Brahmins, hurry up, get your act together, come to the stage where you're finally at your final stage so that everybody can go home. So Baba's concern and compassion is for all. But of course, those who are ready to study, those who want to take benefit from Baba's presence on the earth will come forward and do that. Others will poo-poo these ideas. Others will say, well, I'm fine in my own religion, which is also fine. It's okay. So God's offer is for everyone who wants to come to heaven. But there are some who say, I'd rather just have mukti. There are some who say, I'd rather hang on to the particular branch that I belong to, and I don't want to shift from this branch to another branch. So God is content. Whatever is my choice is my choice. God's contentment does not change.
Okay, yes, true. Thank you, Jinwan. There's another question. Baba says, on the one hand, that karmana seva is equally as important, and you don't need to be giving lectures. But then on the other hand, Baba says he wants good teachers. And so it's just a statement, I guess. Would you like to respond to that?
Yes, because Baba needs everyone. Baba tells us that, absolutely. Baba needs good cooks, Baba needs good typists, Baba needs good teachers, Baba needs good cleaners, Baba needs everyone so that everybody can create a fortune. Let me go back. Baba needs no one. Baba needs no one at all. But Baba sees that each child has a different speciality. And so Baba's created this huge yajna, worldwide yajna, so that everybody can give their little bit of support and cooperation, and everything can be fortune for each one. There are some who can do something, there are some who can do many things. Well, here's your opportunity. It's an unlimited yajna.
Yes, gentlemen. There was one here. Yes, balance between Lokik and alokik. On the one hand, I've pulled to solitude and silence. On the other hand, I have Lokik obligations. How to balance that?
The little formula that I've shared before, I'm sure, but if I haven't, anyway, I'm going to share it now. First step is my own spiritual journey. That's it. I have to focus on that. My yoga, my study, my dharana, that's what I need to do to be able to develop myself and deal with everything that's going on in the world. Second step, what are my responsibilities to my immediate family and to my workplace? Third step, there'll always be time for service if that is what is in my heart. And Baba will find a way to give me an opportunity to serve, whether through my Lokik work, whether through my Lokik family. So it's not separation in any level, but I'm at the heart of everything. And my stage is going to determine whether my Lokik family is content with me. And if they're content with me, they'll say, fine, here's time for you to go and do service or go to the center or whatever else. But the important starting point is my stage. And so I have to get that together first. Everything else will fall into place.
Yes, Genevieve, thank you. During Sakar days, when the family would offer Bhog to Shiv Baba, was Brahma Baba, through his perfect form in the subtle region, also receiving the fragrance, or it was only offered to Shiv Baba?
No, Baba always mentioned that when you offer Bhog, you're not offering only to incorporeal God, you're offering to Shiv Baba through Brahma Baba. And so the trance messengers would talk about seeing the subtle form of Brahma Baba in the subtle region and offering Bhog to Bap Dada, both Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba, and both of them taking the fragrance. Brahma Baba was sitting there in the physical form, but the trance messenger was seeing the perfect form and Bap Dada there, because Baba would say that Shiv Baba doesn't need food. And it's always called Brahma Bhojan. It's the food, the whole system of the yajna and Brahma Bhojan was only possible because Brahma Baba surrendered everything he had to God, and the fire was created, the yajna was created. So we offered to Bap Dada in the subtle region. We did then and we do today.
And again, there's still questions. I want to say that I think maybe those who have this question of detachment and companion. Maybe you should hear Jayanti's session again, because she did clarify very clearly. So we will leave those questions. And I think it's time to end, Jayanti.
It is. Time runs fast.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for facilitating the questions, and let's have a few minutes of silence.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jayanti.
Thank you, everyone. Om Shanti.
Lots of thanks in the chat as usual.